What's happening, guys? Theros International here. It's international break, and today Greece beat Scotland 3-0 to go ahead and qualify get promoted into League A for the first time since the tournament has been incepted. So very big news, very great things, especially because of the young squad, the youngest squad, at least that I have been able to see since I have been going back for the Greek national team. I'm your host, Adi, and I'm joined by Lambro today to talk about all things Greek national team and Olympiacos. Lambro, how are you doing today, buddy?
No, I'm doing good. It was a really enjoyable afternoon with the national team. Who would have thought
Right.
Jovanovic did something I don't think a Greek national team manager has ever done, basically playing that young lineup and doing it. He wasn't afraid to start Matthaios or, some of those typical veteran players that we have. And damn, it paid off. It really paid off. Really paid
It
off.
did. It did. But before we start talking about the match, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're tuning in now, a few dozen of you already have. Quickly hit that like button. It helps us find more and more people, more red and white fans in the community, and continue to grow this, what is absolutely an exploding community. We hit 13,000 on Instagram. Lambro, I think it took 10 days to get 1,000 followers on Facebook, which is crazy. We're about to hit 14,000 on Instagram. It's insane. So the growth is great. The red and white community is just continuing to grow. So help us continue to do that. If you're tuning in for the first time and you like what you hear, consider subscribing and following us. You can also check out more of the content that we have to offer on Patreon. You can visit patreon.com/307international. For $1 a month, you can join the WhatsApp group where we share a lot of information that we do not share on social media. Plus, there's just tons of banter, people to talk to, and it's never boring. I promise you that. It's the most well-spent $1 that you will ever have in your life. So consider checking that out. And before we get talking about the match, there's a couple of announcements related to the club. First and foremost, the club brought in another wonder kid, Eric Hamza, who's playing for oh my god, I already forgot the team name. Ethnikos Siru, Ela Siru. Anyway, Ram
Something.
Ethniki club in Siru, in Syros, the island of Syros. So he's a top prospect, the only player from Ram Ethniki that was called up to any national team, whether it was U21, U17, or otherwise. He's a very exciting player. The academy has gotten extremely aggressive looking for a lot of these talents. We did the same thing with Yusuf Tai and Lamin Silla, who are doing very well in the academy. Yusuf Tai, who is leading the U19s in goal contributions in all competitions. So great to see that the club is going after all of these different targets. Very exciting things. We also got some insight as to who are the names that could be called up for the summer preparations. It looks like as of right now, 3 players that are kind of the ones that will most likely be called up are winger Stavros Pneumonidis, the second highest goal contributor on the team, Argyris Liatsikoras, the defensive midfielder, and then Paraskevas Plionis. So those are the 3 players that look like will be called up from the U19. That can change. Others can be called up as well, but those are the 3 names that we're hearing about. And then last but not least, a little bit of transfer news for you guys. The transfer room convention just happened this past week in Berlin. It's a bit of a new convention where clubs, teams, agents can all get together before the window begins to get some face-to-face and talk about things before the transfer window really kicks off. Now, we've gotten connected to individuals that were there and involved with the transfer room convention. And you guys may have seen, I believe it was Nikolakopoulos it was Nikos Kotsis that brought up Babis Kostulas, and Christos Mouzakitis at the top of everybody's conversations. There was a lot of buzz about them. It was absolutely true. Everything we're hearing was that quite literally almost everybody wanted to speak to Olympiacos representatives about those 2 kids. Transfer advisor Christos Akas and then our chief scout Yanis Theodorou were there representing Olympiacos, and everybody wanted to speak to them about those 2. So the hype is real. And you got to see some of that with Mouzakitis today. We're going to talk about that right now. Scotland versus Greece. Well, Labro, any comments about that before we move on to the Greece stuff?
No, I just think it's really interesting, and we're hearing more and more abroad about Musakiti and Kostoulas, and it makes you think, Olympiacos is very likely to play Champions League football next year. Is that enough to hold on to them? It feels like a year premature, but it seems like a lot of big clubs, they operate in this way where they don't really give a shit. Once they've identified talent, they want to get those people through the door, and they'll pay the premium. So I I would love for them to stay another year, but I'm getting the feeling we may see club records for those two if they continue in the form that they're playing at. So
for sure,
really interesting. And I think what made today so exciting was Kostoulas wasn't even on the pitch, man. He's the highest rated young Greek player. You have Gimas as well, who just signed for Brighton Hove Albion, who's going to star in the Premier League next season. And you start to look around, and your mouth is like watering. It's like, wow, this is an incredible. And I know we knew Karetas is good, but I'm calling out myself and everyone else here who thinks they watch Belgian football. I don't. And we saw in those two games, and it was like, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it was like Lamine Yamal, man, like 17-year-old just bossing the fuck.
Yep.
The first
every touch, man.
The second half where he came on the pitch, it was magic, man. It was magic. Yeah. And then today, getting the goal, people would say like, oh, it's not the most difficult. Man, I plead with you to go see some of those Pavlidis, Zolis like finishes.
Yeah.
He made that look so easy. The ball fell to him, and you're like, oh, he's going to pick the top corner. Boom, easily done. And you're sitting there, and some of his moves, his touches, you're just like, oh my God, this isn't just like a generational Greek national team player. You watch world football, and you're like, this guy could be a generational football player. And he seriously, chose the Greek national team, and it's. All the scouts are saying it. All of the big clubs are going to be in for him this summer. I think Bank is asking for 50 million euros, 45, 50 million euros.
Yeah, 45, 50 million is what they said. And like, I mean, you see that. Like, his touch is so clean. Every pass seems like it goes. He does all the simple things perfectly.
His right foot to the point where just as good as his left. Just incredible.
And then to the point where you saw Ferguson, man, shamelessly clotheslining him because he knew he was getting torched.
Yeah, crazy.
Come on, man. Insane. Absolutely insane. And then you like today, the lead up to the match, we had put a graphic out. And it said just put Muzakitis in. You saw what Karatsas did. He played Kostadelias. He was playing a lot of the younger guys. Put Muzakitis in with this kid. Let a guy that we've seen, he just got 2 assists 10 days ago in the Europa League, in the round of 16. Let this kid in. He's ready. He's been starting for Olympiacos. He's ready. We're like enough of the Madaloses, enough of that shit. Let the kid play. And you saw what happened.
Get right to the point, and we're talking about Karatsas now, but I was texting with you guys like the biggest losers from tonight is those guys like Madalos, Bakasetas,
Siopis.
This myth, but this sort of myth that like you still need these guys type thing, like to guide us and they're going to be in the squad and they're going to be called up. But like, I think it's put to bed tonight that you need like Bakasetas in there for the experience and the leadership, or you need Madalos next to Zafiris or something. It's gone. The myth is gone that you kind of need that. And again, I've been saying it when we had Vasily from Nova Sport on. So Lakis changed Olympiacos last season in the Conference League.
Yeah.
He's never leaving. He's never fucking leaving that Greek starting lineup position because Lakis as a keeper brings so much confidence to your central defenders. And it was clear that Lakis was struggling a bit with Mavropanos because he's not the best on the ball, and he was trying to figure out how to distribute to him. Once those three built up, some chemistry, and Retros may drop in and out. The biggest problem of this team is having depth in the midfield and a little bit more of quality, and just huge. I don't know, Adi, what you want to say, but I thought Zolakis, not just the saves, he made a few great saves tonight, but just again organizing the team. He did that thing, when it hit me. It's huge for your national team to have players who play together in club.
Yeah.
Where Zolakis pick up the ball and distribute out to Musakitis like he does at Olympiacos, where he puts the opponent on the back foot immediately. And it was just beautiful. You're like, oh my God, we're watching Olympiacos right now. It's just great to see. But you can't go back to Vlachodimos now. Like, it's over for him. He's 28, 29. Like, he can be the backup national team goalkeeper, but with Mandas playing at Lazio, that guy's finished his career in the national team for no reason at 28, 29 years old. It's just poor career choices. And if you're Jovanovic, you cannot drop Zolakis. You cannot drop him.
Impossible.
It's impossible now. It's impossible. So the exciting thing, Zolakis takes his position. Vagiannidis had a nice game today.
Very nice
as well,
game.
needs to be said. Like, Lazaros Rota looks like he shouldn't play. Like, Vagiannidis has secured that spot, So I think a lot of things came out of this Greek national team today. And I thought, there's a few losers today. There's a few losers, on
There's more than a few.
This was.
There's more than a few. There's like almost a dozen of them.
There's like Fortunis too. Like, why he didn't come back to this national team. If you're Fortunis right now and you look at it, and you could come back to Olympiacos and come back into this national team and go for a World Cup, you fucking sign up and do it, right? Like, I don't know. I think there's
agree with you.
There's so many storylines out there now that's like exciting. And also Chimikas, Greece's star player, are sort of the guy playing at the highest level. This international break, he didn't do himself well, like, if we can be honest.
I don't think himself well for a while now, man.
Yeah, but for him, I think he was walking around as like, I'm invincible. I play for Liverpool. I come here. It's a fucking, it's a walk in the park. I play in the Premier League. The level's too high, man, to have that now.
Yeah.
The level is too high. Giannulis came on and he makes mistakes and blah, blah, blah. But he the level of effort, let's say, would you agree with that, Adi? Like, the effort level was much higher. And we saw that tonight. And so it's exciting, man. It's a positive group. It's a young group. It's exciting. They're driving each other all to be better. They're friends. It's super exciting stuff. So I'll leave it at that. That was like a bit of a monologue, but yeah.
No, I agree with you, man. Like, for me, so I've been patient with Jovanovic, because even though he's been taking what I consider to be baby steps, he's been going the right direction, slowly phasing out certain players. He's incorporated younger guys in, like Zafiris. He brought in Zafiris. We saw he even he brought Karatsas in immediately. Musakitis was brought in the last international break as well. So we've been seeing that. We've been seeing that he's been making steps there. And I think tonight was super important, because now the proof is in the pudding. I have been saying this for a long time. That the generation of Bakasetas, of Madalos, I'll include Siopis there, Kurbelis, Pelkas, those guys, their time is done. And people, they're too young, Karatsas, they're too young. No, they're not. When you're ready, you're ready. People told me the same thing. They told us the same thing at the beginning of the season when we were asking for Kostoulas and Musakitis to play. Now look, when you're ready, you're ready. These kids are ready. And now we're really fortunate as a country where we have a whole group of these kids that are ready. You just have to give them the shot to prove themselves. And look what happened. And now, finally, we can bin off the players that have given us nothing. 11 years of mediocrity, Lambro. We've had to go through 11 years of this shit. 11 years of not qualifying for a major tournament. 11 years of an EPO that used this national team to give players transfers to, like, unbelievable.
But I want to say, Ari,
Menos and Baltakos as EPO presidents, dude. Like, can you realize, like, that's what we're coming from now? And look what happens when you have a forward-thinking president that's going to get diaspora talent, Greeks that are playing abroad and actually trying to attract them here. Look what happens. You get
And he
this.
brought in, like Sapingidis and Torosidis. And, one of the biggest pieces of news out of all of this from the first game was the announcement that they've identified a plot of land and they're going to build a national team training center for young kids for the national team. So that's huge. That's huge, not just for the current national team to have a home, because Olympiacos kind of adopted them at Karaiskaki, but, you want to bring kids in, like you bring kids in to your training center. Like England does this really well. I'm forgetting the name of the campus they have, like outside of London, I think. And it's massive. There's like 5 football pitches and they bring kids in, like the elite tournaments for kids. And they have clinics and stuff like that. That's going to be really big for this generation of Greek kids. That's something that was promised after 2004, after the Euro Cup. And
the players gave up their bonuses for it.
Yeah.
And it never came.
And in the Mundial, like 2014, I know like a lot of players talked about that too. They wanted the training center to be built. Like Holebas, I think on our podcast talked about that when he came on.
Mm-hmm. He did.
It's super exciting. And it's not just the talent, but it feels cultural. It feels very like the culture has sort of shifted, maybe. Like we were behind the rest of Europe, but now we're seeing it. And I think Jovanovic, for being an older manager, it's similar to Mendy Libar, and sometimes like the older manager feels comfortable in their position to tell you like, okay, I'm going to play these players and I'm comfortable doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we talked about this Corberan who's like, I got to show my football culture and I need to play these players in these weird formations. And, you have a 65, 70-year-old manager and they say, I don't really care. I'm going to play the way I play and I'm going to put the players I want. And if you know what I mean? It's like they're very comfortable in their decisions. And the decision today for Musakidis and Zafiris was very strong decision. Yeah. And
there was risk. He rolled the dice with that, man. He rolled the dice with it. We can see that
midfield.
Like that.
They bossed Billy, Gilmore, McTominay, McLean. When they have a strong midfield, like McTominay has had a great season in Italy.
Very good season.
He played excellent in the first game. He disappeared at one point, and you're just like, you're kind of looking around like, what's going on here? And just really remarkable. And, one thing I'm excited about is I'm hoping Galanopoulos goes through kind of like a Retsos type revival where he's getting, games at his feet. Because that's going to be an important player. That's going to be an important player for the national team. Like, if you're looking at the 6th position, there's not a lot of depth there. So if Galanopoulos can become a player, that's important. That's really important. So,
yeah, when he was younger, I remember when we were doing this, like first start of this channel, and it was like one of our first national team episodes, and we were talking about him and his injury issues. I always liked him as a player. If he can stay healthy and pull a Retsos, I think it would be.
He was 22, man. He had it all going for him. Like, he was playing at Ike, and then he just fell apart with injuries, and it looks like he's starting to get his feet back. I thought it was crazy that I always find it crazy when managers do this, when they didn't call up a player for the original selection and they sub them on.
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting there as Alexandropoulos and you're probably like, wait, what the fuck? Like, wasn't I the one who was like called up? Like, but you know what I mean? There's a player, you're hoping that there's a player there as well.
Yeah.
Who's starting to get game time in Liège. So it's not just the stars that we all know and we saw today. It's also there's around them. I think Kostas Karapapa said it like to Mega as well. There's kids at the Olympiacos Academy right now that we don't know the name of, that we're going to know the name of. And you have players like Bakoulas like coming onto the scene. You have Kaloyeropoulos who's come off like 2 good seasons with Volos, going to come into Olympiacos and train and try to make it into the team. You have deep talent. You still have, if you want to do it, you have Kyriakopoulos out at left back you can bring back in. You have Likogiannis who's playing at a high level, a bit older. You do have options, and it's a very strange position to be in for a Greek national team that has been in the depths of football. It's also One thing that's also weird to me is like we are a League A team and we haven't been to a tournament in 12 years, 10 years, 12 years. It's going to be 12 years. And so it's like, what other team in Europe is League A and hasn't made a freaking tournament in 12? It's pretty remarkable if you think about that as well. I'm just putting that out there as well. I'd love for someone to look up, like, is there any League A teams that are not qualifying for tournaments? So it just feels like this is our time. Like, we're at the peak right now. Like, let's do it. Let's come back in the fall and qualify. And yeah, Gimas coming as well. Like, you have Duvikas who's kicking around too. It's just, there's a lot of players who they're at that like 24, 25 and under, where it's like they need to make the correct transfers. It's so important. Like Martial has talked about this. It's so important for our Greek players to make the right decision. I think Galanopoulos made the right decision going to Apoel, like playing a little bit, dropping the league, but getting minutes. The same with Alexandropoulos made the right decision, I think, go to like a mid-level Belgian team. These players need to play and put themselves in positions to improve and to be called up and make themselves meaningful. So, it's just a very exciting generation because also, when you look at some of these national teams that play in international tournaments, they do not have the high-level talent that we have. Like when we played Georgia, who has some incredible talent as well, the goalkeeper, Varjalia, Kvara, whatever. But one of their midfielders played like for Asteras. He was like a rotation player for Asteras Tripoli. You know what I mean? Like a lot of national teams that make these tournaments do not have the talent. Like a lot of national teams in Europe would kill for the generation we have. So we have the right coach who speaks Greek, understands the Greek culture, Greek football, but he's not poisoned by Greek domestic football. Like it took a Serbian guy.
He sang the Greek anthem.
No, it's just remarkable. It reminds me like of a generation of coaches that doesn't exist, like a Serbian guy speaking Greek and loving, like it's just, you don't see that anymore, and no, it's the combo we talked about. I remember we talked about when this podcast first started and we had John Van Schip and we talked about, we need a manager, almost like Donis, who like players like him. He's Greek. He understands Greek football. He understands Greek footballers, blah, blah, blah. But Jovanovic is the perfect man to at least to get this generation up and running. So
we had been saying that. We had been saying that too. Like, remember when Poyet was coming under fire? And we were like, Jovanovic would be, after he got fired from Panathinaikos, we're like, this guy would be great actually for the Greek national team. And thank you again, Alafouzos, for being an absolute donkey, because it's made people kind of believe in this Greek national team again. For the first time, I can't remember the last time that I was looking across like Olympiacos social media and seeing so many people talking about the national team. Normally, if we would do any national team coverage, there would always be a handful of guys like, why are you talking about Greece? The national team sucks. Why are we talking about this? You're an Olympiacos channel. This international break, not a single person complained. And we're bigger now than we were before. We reach a lot more ears now than we did the last time we got complained about. So to me, there's an overall, and you're seeing it across all spectrums. There's just a much more positive feel, because here we are. It was a different when we were in League C and we were barely getting into League B. You know what I mean? Yeah. When we lost to Slovenia, could barely beat Moldova. You remember that nonsense? Yeah. And now, here we go. League B, we beat England, and then we lost to England in the return fixture, and that's what separated us, winning the group against them. And then here we go. We just beat Scotland. We should have beaten them in the first leg. The first half was garbage, but the second half, man, we had 24 shots. We had almost 40 scoring opportunities, man, across 2 games against Scotland. What Greece? When do you remember Greece playing against a team that was the caliber of Scotland and having this type of fluidity moving the ball in open play. That number of opportunities. When do you remember that? When do you remember a Greece in our lifetime that didn't park a bus and you were praying for a counter, 1, 2, or 3 that you would have to score on if you wanted a result, hoping, praying, right? But here we have a Greek team that, no, we're not sitting back. We're going to take it to you. We're going to get a dozen, 2 dozen chances, and we're going to take the game to you. When was the last time that happened, Lambro? Even the Euro 2004 winning team didn't do that stuff. Yeah. Even that team was very defensive and relatively ugly to watch. But today, this team was very fun to watch. It was very interesting.
Yeah,
over both.
It was enjoyable to watch over both legs. Yeah, the second half, it felt like that first half we were a bit rusty, or players didn't know where to be, and it's just the second leg just like it all came together. It just all came together. I don't know what to say. Like I think the greatest thing out of tonight was the myth of like, you need the Bakasetas, you need Siopis, you need Madalos. You can't just play these kids all together.
Yep.
The fact that maybe it's because, if we lost this game and didn't get through, it was like, okay, it's not qualification. It's not like that. It's disappointing, but you can live with it. The fact that he was like, I'm going to start Karetas, Kosadegias, I'm going to start Pavlidis, I'm going to play the midfield of Musa and Zafiris. And he just said, screw it, man. Like, I'm not going to F around with this shit, like I'm going to do it. And the decision made, like, I looked at the lineup and I was thinking about it. I was like, that was the exact lineup that I would run out as well. That was like, you drop Rota, who's incompetent, for Vagiannidis, who's defensively not very good, but
couldn't be worse than the Rota that we saw the other day.
Rota's horrible defensively and offensively. Man, as an Olympiacos fan who watches Rota, I was texting you guys this in the chat and watches the Greek national team. What? Ike fans, like, are they here? Like, what? How, man? This is why you guys fucking suck, man. This is why you guys are awful. You start Rota in 36-year-old Hadji Safi, and you're like, I don't know why we're not getting results in the big games. What does he do, man? I literally what anyway. Vagiannidis is a player who you see quality in, even if defensively he's a bit meh. And then you bench Tsimikas, who has just been walking around and thinking, like, I'm the shit. And you say, okay, man, you lost your place because you've been too complacent. Giannoulis is good enough. We'll play him. You put Mousakitis in there. You put Zafiris. You know what I mean? Like, all the decisions he made were super logical, and he rewarded players who played well and deserved to play. And you benched the others, who didn't show up or that were a bit complacent. So for me, Jovanovic's lineup today was perfect, man. It's perfect. And
almost perfect.
I hope the message he sent to Tsimikas was like, when you come back here in the fall and we're playing for the World Cup, we're not taking this shit anymore. Like, we're not taking the walking and the kind of flicks and casual stuff. Like, this is serious, man. And you're 28 years old. You play at the highest level of football. You need to show respect to this national team, and you need to put in effort. The sort of like walking, lackadaisical, like flicks. It reminds me of that like Greek generation that we were just talking about, of like 2014 post, that like showed up on international break and they're going and they're just like, it's good to be back in Greece. I'm going to go out in Athens with my friends and have coffees and whatever. I think Tsimikas, man, he has a lot to prove, and this is an important summer for him to figure things out, in my opinion. I don't watch Liverpool very much. I don't watch him play. But when I saw him play against Scotland, it was just kind of, from the very first minute, it was just like, this guy thinks he's better almost than what's going on. Like, the effort wasn't there, the kind of lackadaisical stuff. Like, what's your take, Adi, on that? Like, I know you love Tsimikas as well from his time at Olympiacos. Like,
listen, man, I agree with you. I remember the years where Tsimikas was the best player on the pitch for Greece. I remember
Mm.
under John Van Schip when he started with Giannoulis, and I was frustrated at how shit Giannoulis was. Then Tsimikas comes on. He's like the best player for 2 years on the pitch, game. And then now, the last like 2 or 3 international breaks, it's been underwhelming. I agree with you there. And I hope this is a wake up call for him. Hopefully seeing Giannoulis out there, and Giannoulis, who I think is more limited than Tsimikas is as a footballer, seeing that and saying, hey, man, like my spot's not safe. I need to actually do something.
It's not about that. International football, a lot of it. And I think we now we should realize that as a generation of us who've been here. It's about fucking effort. A lot of international football is about effort, pride, and following the system. And Giannoulis is a luxury. He's had a pretty good season. He's a player that a lot of national teams would start at left back.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh shit, we have to call up Rota from Ike that concedes 20 goals a game. It's like we're calling up a decent player, played in the Premier League, played in the Championship, is now playing is over 25 games in the Bundesliga, has multiple assists. You know what I mean? Like Adi, it's not like you're calling up. You're
I
don't know,
calling
like some
Matthaios for left back here.
Yes, exactly. So you're called but you're looking at the careers, man. And Tsimikas plays for Liverpool. He's won titles, but Giannoulis is playing day in, day out in Bundesliga, man, and is competitive and fighting for his spot. And it shows a bit, unfortunately. It shows. So if I'm Tsimikas, man, it's like a big summer this summer. You're pushing 29. You're a bench player. You've been a bench player for 5 years now. It's like, are you going to push? Are you going to go? Maybe are you going to drop a level and go see if you can be that guy? You can push on? Because this is make or break, man. This is where the career of Manolas started going off the rails, at 29, 30. You got to either, when you hit that level and you hit that plateau, you either kick on or you start burning down, man, with the tattoos and the nice cars and all that stuff. So
shitting yourself in front of a lion, a photo shoot with a lion.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
But nothing to say about Tsimikas, but driving the Lamborghinis and the tattoos and all that stuff. He's making good money there in Liverpool and is not in a pressured position. So it's just
complacent.
I don't know.
He's just complacent.
Because I really love the player, man. We love the player, man. We witnessed his good years at Olympiacos, let's say. We witnessed that run against Arsenal where he banged it off the post or it was saved, on his right. Man, Tsimikas, I don't think he could make a run like that. He could not make a run from left back he did in 2020. Not now, man. I don't know if they bulked him up in the Premier League, but he's not bombing down the up and down like he used to do under Pedro Martins like that. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't do that at the national team, but I don't see it. I don't see it whatsoever, and it's just disappointing. Really disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know. But I mean, I agree with you there. I hope he does better. But my biggest thoughts right now, actually, for the national team have to do more with Panos Retsos, because in the first half, we were trying to play out the back, and then you have a donkey like Mavropanos who just can't. And he makes such terrible decisions. The guy is a very strong center back. He's definitely a body you want, especially in more physical games. All
you
I
can
could
see
think about today,
the penalties, the red cards, and critical moments. You just see it with the guy, and let's not say Retsos never gets a penalty or whatever, but
of course.
Mavropanos, man, it. You're gonna get
He almost gave up a goal today.
He's like Meria in some way, man. You're I got 2 to 3 killer mistakes in this guy every game. You're just
every game.
If we can get past those 2 to 3, it's we're gonna be okay today. But it's you just know. But you and Adi Span here comments. This was when you see a corner, when you saw Scotland come up for a corner and you see Mouzakitis on McTominay, Zafiris on McTominay, you're okay, this is why Mavropanos is on the pitch. It's not because he can dribble a ball, but when the Greek national team goes and we're going to play I don't know, what's a team like we would have the ball more? Like maybe like we're gonna play Belarus, I think, in the World Cup
Right, we're gonna
qualifier.
play low. We have lower tier sides that we play against.
We're gonna play a low block, and this
Yep,
team is gonna have to build up from the back. And that Panos Retos you saw against
will
Bodo
be so
Glimt
huge.
is gonna be so important to breaking those teams down and scoring goals. So there's gonna be a role for Mavropanos to play, and there's gonna be a role for Retsos as well. So it's not, yeah, I don't know.
Also, Retsos is a
Kulierakis,
leader.
but
Retsos is a real
Kulierakis,
leader
meanwhile,
too.
Kulierakis, man, that guy's turning into. You watch him
He's good,
play,
man.
and you're like, this guy
Very
is
good.
turning into a player that is probably not far off from like getting a move to like a
Yeah.
decently big club. You know what I mean? It's just his calmness, his strength. He has it. Like Kulierakis as a player has it all. More so than I guess Haret not as strong. You know, like you compare the bodies and the size. But it's incredible, man. We go from what we were like begging for Siovas to come back. This national team, we had like Svarnas.
Yep.
We were like, oh my god, Svarnas is getting called up, and things like that. You know, yeah. And Matthaios, man, is like his career is like he's on the limit here. Like he may be, you know, he's another one of those guys where it's like he's maybe fourth or pushing fifth choice center back for this national team now. So it's there's a lot of storylines coming out of this game. So yeah, out of this match. You know, I love thinking about those different sort of things. Like you know, how amazing would a Fortunis come back to Olympiacos and then come back into the national team is kind of like that, like quality player off the bench.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Just,
I mean,
do it, man. Do it for us, Fortuny, man. Like, do us, please. Like, it would be the perfect summer. You know, he comes back to the national team. You know, he's, you know, imagine Cosatellas like has a bad game and like Fortunis comes on at halftime. You know, he's like, okay,
yeah,
nice. Yeah,
I'm with you. My whole thing with Retsos is like the guy's he's just a leader. Did you see in the tunnel? He's talking to Muzakitis. Muzakitis is getting his first start, and Retsos is like, he's pumping him up. He's encouraging him. That's a leader, man. That's a real leader. Like this is his teammate for Olympiacos. He knows it's his first cap. He knows who this kid is. But like, I just love that about him, and having that on the pitch. I think even for Greece, like, you know. Part of the conversation people have when they say, "Oh, you need to have a Madalos, you need to have a Madalos or a Bakasetas because they bring leadership qualities." Well, there you go. You have a leadership there. You don't need to keep some of these losers on the team anymore that haven't achieved anything.
No, but you still have like Hatziovani still gets called up by Siarispan, and Louis here joins. He says, "Why are we talking about Fortunis? Blah blah blah." You're like, people are like, oh, he's a bit finished. I know we're a bit romantic and we are an Olympiacos podcast. So leave it to us to bring him back into everything. But, you know, it's just really exciting to see this generation and the Masurases of this world. You know, he didn't make it to an international tournament, but he's played Champions League. He's played European football with Olympiacos. He's hit 31. He's now playing in the Bundesliga. There's going to be a role for Masuras at some point in this team. I think you would agree with that, right, Adi? Like, he may not have a future at Olympiacos. There is a role for him.
There is. He was just, remember, the last qualifying campaign we had, who was the leading scorer in the qualifying campaign? It was Masuras.
Yeah.
That you keep that guy on your team. And like, look, you need leadership. If we need depth in the midfield, you keep Bakasetas too, because Bakasetas had that also. You know what I mean?
You keep Bakasetas in this team for sure. You call him up.
You have to.
I just hope when Bakasetas come back, it's not like he's the first name on the team sheet.
Exactly.
Type thing. You know what I mean?
I agree with
Bakasetas is another player that has like a very big summer decision to figure out because he has dropped the level massively at Panathinaikos. He's not playing as much. And, you know, if he wants to get back in the squad, it's going to be very difficult for him. So, you know, what this summer is going to be very crucial for a lot of these players. You know, some of them, the bottom tier players, but also some of the higher level players. You know, like we saw it with Zolis, man. He made the wrong decision going to Norwich City. Like, I think we can all look back and say that
bad decision.
And I think he was on, was it post game? I forget where he was talking, but he said like, I should have come to Bruges first. Like, PAOK turned down an offer remember Bruges wanted him. He was like, I should have gone here first. Like, this was the better move. And I made the mistake. And he's like, I'm happy here and blah, blah, blah. And so you hope he passes on that experience, to Kostulas, to Musakitis, and as we said, there's so many kids coming out now of the Olympiacos Academy. There's these diaspora kids that, I think we're starting to see sort of the generation that came out of the crisis.
Yeah.
Those kids whose parents 2008 to 2015, 2016 left Greece, and they raised their kids in the Netherlands and Belgium and Germany, in Scandinavia. And some of those kids are coming to the time where they're playing football, like they're 18, 19. And so you also, Moscow talks about this a lot. You have a generation of Greek kids who grew up abroad, like Zafiris, for example. Zafiris is a crisis kid, who his family moved to, was it Norway, for his dad to find work, and that's how he grew up playing football there. So there's also it's not just domestically. There's a lot of exciting players coming through, Greek players, second, third generation. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Adi, I don't know. But super exciting. We have a base. We have a base, that's all you can ask for at some point. So
yeah, I think we have more than a base, man. Like I just keep thinking about how awesome it's going to be when Babis Kostulas is healthy on the next international break and he can join Musakitis. He can join, maybe they finally called Simas up, you know what I mean? And we get to see some of these guys. Like I have not been this excited for the Greek national team in a very long time. Like I remember when Poyet took over and we won the Nations League, but like you knew there were still some issues there. And we're like, all right, like he did what was expected, but can he really go beyond that? And he couldn't. We saw that there was no plan B, but like now it's there's not just players coming up, right? I remember when Coach Yanni said this, like these aren't just players, right? These are guys that can actually do something for you. Like Karagiannis is a guy that can win you a game. Yeah. He's a guy when shit's going bad, he can just turn up and win you a game. He can do things that, we've seen Fortounis for Olympiacos, even on the occasion for the Greek national.
It's like that game-changing player, it's like a game-changing player. And I think that was so stark to me, Adi, as I'm sitting there. And, if I'm sitting there and I don't know what you thought, but like if I'm Hatziovannis, I'm Masouras, I'm Pelkas on the bench, and you see Karetas, man, come in at halftime, that second half, and just change a football game. And you're like, I'm 31. I've been around this national team. I've been playing club football. And this 17-year-old is doing, like, how do you feel? It's got to feel weird, like for especially those players, man, that it's like, my God, like things that we haven't seen in over a decade from those guys. Masouras outside. Masouras scored a lot of goals for the national team. Just got to be like, wow, man, like it's incredible. Like that is game-changing generational talent right there, man. Like that's not just like an average footballer whatsoever.
And he elevates it. Like when he was on the pitch, man, everybody, the same people that were on for that first half, because there was only one change at halftime. It was Karagiannis.
They all looked better.
Everybody looked better because you just saw him. He was electric. And like when you're on the field, man, and you can see this even amateur level, right? Even those of us that haven't played professionally, when you have a guy on your team that is like really good and he starts making moves and just gets you a couple of opportunities, you get that belief like, well, hold on a second here. We can do this. Like, look, and everybody's confidence builds up, and then everybody starts to want to do more, to give more effort. It energizes you, and that's what he did.
Like Kosatellas today as well. This someone in the comment talked, he'll be at a top Champions League side. Like, I was the first 15-20 minutes of the game, I was getting really freaking frustrated with Kosatellas, to be honest.
Well, before the goal, he was horrible. It was bad.
He was making so many mistakes, just muscled off the ball. And I was like, oh my, I don't watch PAOK games. I watch PAOK when they play us, and I was like, is this guy really like, is this who we're being sold as like a generational like he looked so bad. Yes, like at the beginning of the game. So no, interesting.
Got a Scottish fan in here.
Yeah,
Furnace Stack saying,
reading.
I'm Scottish and our manager's terrible. Everyone has wanted him out for years, plays players out of position, starts guys that don't even play for their club, and leaves the best players on the bench. Well, I think we know what that's like.
Yeah, you want Gus Poyet's phone number? No, John Van Schip. John Van Schip got where did he get hired? Like Azerbaijan or something? Where did he get hired?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? I don't care where that guy is.
But
he's another joker.
But you saw it too, where Martial likes to talk about how our national team strikers are so useless. But Pavlidis didn't have a goal or goal contribution today, and it was like he looks good. You know what I mean? Like these players also, we have had so many national team strikers who have been awful, but we also can say they've had awful service for it. It's not possible to have like 12 years of strikers being awful. You know what I mean? Also just be like, okay, they're bad. Like if Pavlidis is scoring goals in the Champions League, et cetera, we can't just be like, okay, like Pavlidis is like shit. You know what I mean? It's just, there's something going on here, and like goal contribution opportunities we just wouldn't create. And you felt today and you were like, Pavlidis, it just felt so perfect for the way he plays. Pavlidis loves bringing other players into the game, but for so long he was bringing like Pelkas into the game,
right,
or Matthaios, and it's just like, what are they going to do? They don't have that magic to create a goal. So then you give the ball to Kosatellas, you give the ball to Caretas, you have unbelievable players you're basically distributing the ball to, and it's just, I don't know.
We saw that today. We saw that dichotomy today. Like the second Karagiannis came off the pitch, Karagiannis Kosatellas, and you put on Pelkas and Masouras. Like you saw the change in the ball movement, how we transitioned. It was a complete tier below.
Zolis is like, he can create stuff for himself, but also he plays so much better when he has players who are distributing, putting him like, the most Zolis goals I can think of. Do you remember when PAOK played, like, was it Besiktas, and then they played Benfica or something in the Champions League?
Yeah.
When Zolis is played on the ball and he's running at someone at speed, the guy is incredible, man. Like his dribbling, it's like where you want to, and you could see just like Caretas on that left foot. Bang, he would ping it, like go right wing, hit it on the left foot, that curling sort of thing, right to Zolis on the run. And you're like, man, that is like, that's the money right there. That's that's the money shot right there. And so,
other note about Zolis, I appreciated him, like how hard he worked getting back.
Yeah.
He came back and won a lot of balls, which transitioned us forward again. I respected that. I don't remember him doing that before.
No.
So that I really enjoyed that.
A lot of exciting players. Exciting players for Greece, and we're gonna see more. Hopefully, Kostoulas, the most exciting young Greek player, all of Europe is talking about, hasn't even gotten a debut yet, man. It can only get better with some of these more like super exciting young players coming in. So,
what's funny? I wonder if, because you brought up how like strikers for this national team are pretty much cursed. Like we'll have so many strikers that'll be successful for club, and they come and they do absolutely nothing for Greece. Kostoulas is like, for Olympiacos, he kind of plays everywhere. He'll play in the pressing role behind the striker. He'll play on the wings sometimes. He has so much effort. He's just like so aggressive. I wonder if we try him in the striker role, if we have more success, just because of how much of an animal he is. I could see that happening.
Kostoulas, that's like another thing that we didn't talk about. It's like, it's not like you're calling up Douvikas and he can only play striker.
Right.
You call up Kostoulas and he can play behind the striker. He can play that Kosatellas role. He can play winger. He can play the striker. So it's just like, he's like like Inspector Gadget, where you can kind of throw that guy wherever you need to, and it makes squad call ups a lot easier as well, right? Because then you're like, okay, we only need to call up 2 strikers, right? Like I don't need, at some point, do I need like Duvikas as a 3rd striker if I have Kostulas, who I'm also going to play at the wing?
Yep.
So it makes a big difference for the team. So I don't know, Adi, we can. I think that's going to be interesting. Is how we're going to sort out this striker situation at the national team. Like, you have Pavlidis playing very well at Benfica. You have Ioannidis, who had a great season last season at Panathinaikos, but has been quite tragic this season. Gimas, here we go, is the list. Coming through at Brighton. You have Duvikas, who's struggled a bit, taken a major step back since leaving the Netherlands. And then you have Kostulas. So,
Yeah, I think
this is exactly what I said as well. This is a good comment.
Yeah. I think when it comes to like some of the strikers we have, my thing, and it's the same philosophy I had when talking about Mendilibar and some of the transfers this summer for him. I care a lot more about having different profiles than I do the same profile over and over again. So like I look at Pavlidis, I look at Ioannidis, I look at Duvikas and Kostulas, and I see like, okay, if I keep forget Duvikas for a second. If I keep Pavlidis, Ioannidis, and Kostulas, I have 3 different profiles entirely. Yeah. Pavlidis is a guy that comes back. You saw today, he came back to help distribute and get the ball moving, which was very valuable for this team who has threat from the wings. Then Ioannidis, who I think is in general as a player is a little bit more suitable to the Greek national team because, he can do a little bit more with nothing. He can also draw you fouls. He can draw a penalty. And then you have a guy like Kostulas, who you already brought up, who's just so versatile. Like, I like that as a coach. I have 3 completely different looks. I have different scenarios I can plan around. And I know if I make a like-for-like sub, I'm putting something different into the field. That is extremely valuable. And I think that is huge for us, having those 3 players, even if for the moment 2 of them are underperforming with respect to maybe what you would expect from a striker. I like that for every position. You know what I mean? I think these days you have to have a versatile toolkit of profiles at your disposal, or you can get stuck in things. So I think it's very valuable. Like those 3 players, I think every coach is happy.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the context is.
For me, the biggest the biggest thing that this national team will have to figure out is when you go and I'm watching Italy and Germany's on the TV right now. You're dropping Cosatellas and you're playing a 6. You know what I mean, Adi? Who is gonna step into that role? At some point, Greece is gonna have to figure out a defensive midfielder, and Siopis, God bless his soul, like he's covering the job for some time now. Kourbelis is in Saudi Arabia these days. Someone is going to have to step up and play the 6 because there's going to be games where you cannot play Cosatellas, Karetas, Zolis, Pavlidis, man. You cannot. This is not Greek Super League action, man. Like, you need a defensive midfielder, and you're going to have to hit people on the counter. Like old stool, like Greece, man. The 4-3-3 was what we played with Sados, man. Like at big tournaments, you had like Salpikidis, Samaras, the striker, and then you would have like Karagiannis, Katsouranis, and then like whoever else you throw in there. I don't know. You like in 2014, I'm thinking put like Kone or Maniatis. Like you had, but we need a defensive midfielder. Like we need that is when I look at this national team, you're kind of like freaking out. You're like, who is our Danny Garcia man or Artie Bora or something? Because I'm telling you, and I assume you agree. Like you cannot go Zafiris Mousakitis like against Germany. You cannot do that for when we go and play those big teams. We're going to League A, man. We're going to League A. Every game is basically a big team you're playing. How are we going to play? We're going to have to deal with that, I think, as well. That's going to be a challenge. So,
it's hysterical.
That's my
about a week ago, I listened to one of the first national team podcasts that we did. No, about it was like we had done the podcast about I think 3.5 years ago, Greek national team, and we were kind of talking about how and Galanopoulos came up in this conversation, but we were talking about how we had too many sixes in this team. Like we had Puchalakis, we had
Yeah.
Kourbelis,
Yeah.
Zeka. Like we had
Yes.
nothing. At the time, Madalos was considered a winger, but like we had all these not creative midfielders. The only
Yeah.
one with the semblance of creativity was Galanopoulos. And now we're on the other side,
Yeah.
like, man, we have a lot of guys that are great with the ball and the feet, but we have
Yeah.
nobody who could win the ball. Nobody who could like sit back. You're like, all right, this guy's going to close passing lanes and he's going to like
Yeah.
distribute and slow things down. Like, it's so weird. Like the closest we have right now that in the call ups was Siopis. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and he was garbage in the first leg, but
He
like
was really
that's the role that he fills. And that's why you still keep a guy like Kourbelis around because
Yeah.
outside of Siopis, you don't have anybody else. So yeah, you're right. You're gonna have to find somebody. I think I saw Mouzakitis as the one that was staying further back today. Zafiris was
Yeah.
given more freedom to
Pressing.
get forward. So I wonder if that's going to be maybe what he does moving forward. We'll see. But yeah, I think you're
know
right. We are going to
he may
probably
go
need somebody that's a little
Mendilibar style though. Like I don't know if you noticed this, but like there are some similarities to Olympiacos. Like when you were watching the team,
Yeah.
like the way it's lined up, the way they kind of the shape when they're defending, it's like 4-4-2 with that like big little sort of like Chiquinho, El Akabi sort of thing. You see that. And one thing you see right away is like Costatellas would get killed by Mendilibar, man.
Yeah.
That guy would like get dragged over the coals, and he's like, "You're not playing until you learn how to press properly." Because he's a beautiful player, but man, he has no idea what to do on the press. Like I don't know if you agree with that. Like the effort in the press, the decision of when to press. Like Mendy would, oh my god,
murder him. Yeah.
He would murder him, man. Like he wouldn't. I don't know. He would struggle to even play him at times, I think, because he wouldn't trust him on the press, which is so important to Mendy Libar. Like he would get the Andre Horta treatment of like, okay, man, like come here, learn how. This is how you're gonna learn how to play football, Mendy Libar style. So, but in defending, it looks similar to that. And with the two midfielders, like like Zafiris is playing your Eze role, and then Mouzakitis is kind of like what he is at Olympiacos. So it's a bit like that.
Yeah, I think Comrade Aries, I think here gets it on the nose. This is how I was thinking about it. But he says in League A, we'll play as Jovanovic and Mendilibar always do. Do the basics, don't be fancy, concentrate, press the overpriced advertised shows fielded against us. Yes. So basically, like he will keep them shaped more conservatively in those types of games. I'm sure of it, even if we're not playing. A team like Scotland, we're playing a bigger team. If he keeps the same players in without a real six, he's going to have them in a more tighter thing. But for sure, with Costatellas, man, you're right. And I think that's more of an environment type thing. Because look how Bach plays. Like I've watched a lot of Bach games, and it's just like it's such chaos, man. They play. I have no idea what the game plan is. They just kind of. I know for sure they want to get the ball to the wings half the time, but there's like with Mendilibar, you see the structure, like you see it. It's very clear what the goal is. The goal is to force everything. Maybe there's a press trap. With Lucescu, it's like there's people all over the place. I don't know people are going all over. It's a low block most of the time. It's all over the place.
It seems like, not to compare, but like it seems like he has a bit of like that Fortunis role where you kind of like do whatever you want. Like you're the creator, you bail us out, you kind of like score goals, you make assists.
Yep.
And I think Costatellas would really benefit from a move somewhere to like learn how to play football, like to go play in Belgium or go like Tolis did. And like Caretas, man, like you watch Caretas play football, man, and the tactical side, he's so advanced. Even some of our players, like tactically, like the movement, he knows where players are going to be. The defender, he knows when to push it. Like he knows like, okay, I need to back off and like send the ball back. I know when I need to cut it into like my midfielder. I know when I can just spin this guy and go. So I think some of our players would like really benefit from that going tactically to learn somewhere in Europe to kind of push themselves on and develop that approach. You see it with Giorgos, it's like night and day, man, as a player of where he was at PAOK versus where he is now. And
I agree with you there. I think 100%. I think this season, this summer, if Kostadelias doesn't move on outside of PAOK, I think he does himself a huge disservice.
Like Ioannidis as well, man. Like it was time to go. It was time to go for Ioannidis, man. Like, and I hope
you're not going to get the value they would have this past summer for Ioannidis. Like they would have gotten the most money this past summer for him. They're not going to get that now because.
But I think for his own development, it would have been good for him to go somewhere else. Like, because you're kind of like, you're at that point. You know, we were talking like a little bit of Chimikas in this different scenario where it's like you're ready to like kick on and go do something else, or you're gonna sit and kind of like do the same thing. And so we'll see. But you know, super exciting day. Who would have thought? Like I was not predicting a comeback today, like at all. But you know, super exciting day for the Greek national team. Super excited to. I was listening to Alpha, and like one of the guys was like, I don't remember the last time I was excited for the national team to come back and play. It's like what an exciting group of players, and seeing them gel and work, and like they seem to really like each other, and it's pretty awesome. So
yeah, no, I'm with him. I remember like when we got promoted, I was like, all right, he can do the basics. I was like, all right, maybe. I remember being like a little bit like sort of hesitant, anxiously excited because I was like, all right, we did it, but I'm not super impressed. No. And I remember that, but that's about the closest I got to being like, oh, I cannot wait for international break. I haven't been like that since, man, probably right before 2014. I don't think I've been like that excited about international break. So it's been like 11 years. My God.
I think it's exciting for, you know, it's going to kick other players on too. Like I'd really love to see Duvikas get a move somewhere where he can like do something interesting as well, because he showed a lot of talent in the Netherlands, and you hope it's not like Giacomakis-esque where he was just destroying the league and it's like that's it. That's kind of all he was, you know, because that's not the player we saw even back in the day at Volo. So it's kind of, you know, we shall see. We shall see. Exciting stuff, and you know, let's see.
Absolutely. Well, Lambra, I think we kind of beat this to a dead horse at this point. Do you want a man of the match coach's grade and get moving?
Yeah, my man of the match is Kostadelias. I think
has to be goal, 2 assists.
Yeah, and then my coach's grade is literally an A+, man. Like that is exactly how I would have lined up. I like that he did not start Chimikas. That was like one of my brownie points. That would not have happened in other Greek generations. Like your star player at Liverpool, and you just said, "Hey man, screw you! Like you didn't put in enough effort in the first game. You're on the bench tonight." That was really encouraging to me, and yeah, just the decisions were right. Like it was time to bring on Pelkas and Masouras, who know how to set up shop, man. Like they have experience in international games, and they kind of were like, okay, we know what we're going to do here. We know how to defend. We know what to do. And so that was the right move. So
I'm with you, man. Before I give my man of the match coach's grade, I'd like to welcome our newest patron, Tristan Price. So thank you to Tristan for joining the Red White channel and for joining the WhatsApp group. And thank you to all of our patrons. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon group, go check out patreon.com/307 International. You can join the WhatsApp group. We do extra interviews, extra shows, so you can support us there. Everything we get from the Patreon channel, all the donations go to us literally upgrading everything that we do here to give you the best content that we can. We do this because we love it. We don't make any money out of this. We put every dollar back into the channel. So thank you so much, Tristan, for joining us. Now, my man of the match coach's grade, I'm literally the same with you. I think, my has to be Kostadelias' goal, 2 assists. Shouts, of course, to Karetsas. I'm going to give a shout to Mouzakitis because I thought Mouzakitis did a great job moving the ball around. He barely lost the ball today. He had a couple of important interceptions. The kid was so much smaller than most of these other Scottish guys on the pitch, not just the midfielder. And he did not let that stop him. Like, he went in on challenges. Zafiris as well. I got to tell you something. Zafiris surprised me today with his aggression.
Yeah.
I mean, just he got to the point where the Scottish players, like Ferguson in particular, that little douchebag, pissed him off so much. Ferguson, and who's the other one? Gilmore.
Samine also kind of like
dude, Zafiris just started like straight up yanking them and throwing them to the ground. I loved every second of it. Like, I never saw that from Zafiris in the times he played for Greece. I love that. So shouts to all of them. Mouzakitis' ball for the second goal, the through ball down to the left, man. Yeah. I had 2 journalists message me after we scored, and they were like, man, that ball was sublime. Greece has a golden generation. 2 different journalists told me that. British journalists, by the way. So incredible stuff. And A for Jovanovic. Thankfully, I hope that this is now the Tsolakis time for the national team.
For sure.
Vlacho Dimos has not played a competitive match besides a Carabao Cup game like 2 months ago since January of 2024. That's the last time he played a competitive match for his club that wasn't just Carabao Cup. One Carabao Cup. So, like, it's time that Tsolakis gets he's Greece's goalkeeper. Thank you, Jovanovic, for making the right choices today. I love that you took a risk. I love that you trusted in the kids. Again, we had an average age of 22.7 years. Under 20, that's the youngest roster. I've gone back 8 years, and I have not found a roster that was that young. So, it's fantastic. So, man of the match, Kostadelias. I'm also going to give him an A+. So super, super, super excited for that. Happy with everybody. I'm now looking forward for the first time to the next international break. I haven't felt that way. Usually we're like, man, when's club football coming back? Thank God club football's back. Now I'm like, man, I want to see the kids more. I want to see how these guys do together again. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And everyone else is too. I think it's the first time we've seen this, since we've started this channel, especially. I don't think we've seen the entire Greek football base. Like, we can't wait for more. Give us more.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So.
For sure.
Lambro, anything else before we go ahead and wrap up?
No, that's it. That's it.
All right, boys and girls. Thank you, everybody that has tuned in. Thank you guys for joining us. I know it's not Olympiacos during the international break. There's just some news, but it's really Greek national team stuff. But now we finally have a fun Greek national team to talk about, something to be excited about. I think this is also probably the most people that we've had in a live show during an international break talking about the Greek national team. So that tells you everything. So thank you guys for joining us. There's a lot more stuff coming up. We have a fun giveaway that's going to be coming out this week. So check out our socials. Instagram is where the giveaways usually go live. There's a couple giveaways we have planned too. So check out Instagram. Make sure you're following us on Instagram so you can see that. We'll probably put it out elsewhere as well. And don't forget to check Patreon. We have some great interviews coming up. We just did a great interview about Ukrainian football and with the situation that's going on in Ukraine. So check it out. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us on socials as well. Thank you, everyone. This is Sideros International, by the fans, for the fans, and we'll see you all next time.